One of your most frequently asked questions about getting started in the laundromat business is, what's it worth? What's the value? How much should I pay? And that's a really good question. So we're going to take the next couple of minutes to try to walk you through some of the valuation basics. Just to get you started, there'll be a lot more homework for you to do, but I'll point you in the right direction. So valuation, a lot of that is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's what the seller will accept, what you're willing to pay, but we need to take a little bit deeper dive than that. When it comes to laundromats, most are valued as a multiple of the net income, the net operating income. So the gross revenue less the operating expenses gets you to a net, and then a multiplier. And in the laundromat business, most laundromats historically have sold between 3 times and 5 times the annual net. That doesn't mean that's what they're worth. It means what most of them sell for within that range. And I'll talk some more about what some things that can sort of influence that value either up or down. So one of the considerations for sure is comps, like on a house. Like, what's the going rate for laundromats in the area or at this point in time in the economy? Right now in 2023, laundromat valuations are definitely trending higher. The business is popular, the business is performing well. There's many of you with aspirations to be a first-time laundromat owner, as well as a lot of existing laundromat owners are looking to grow their chain. So they're looking for that second, third, fourth location, and sometimes they're looking for an existing store that they can purchase, remodel, retool, and make their own. So there's a lot of demand right now, so that's pushing laundromat values a bit higher. But let's talk about some of the factors that historically will continue to kind of influence that up and down beyond just the comparables. One would be the lease. Why is the lease so important? When you buy a laundromat, you're having that lease transferred or assigned to you. And that is really the most important document that you're going to come across. Really, because you can't pick up and move a laundromat. So you need to have, of course, an affordable lease and have all the fine print the way it needs to be, but duration becomes really important because it kind of protects that cash flow for a predictable number of years into the future. So the less time left on the lease, the lower the value of a laundromat. The more time left on the lease, the higher the value of a laundromat. So that gives you some sense of not just the difference between a 3 times and a 5 times, but maybe a store that would go for 6 or 7 times, or a store that might only go for 2 times. It probably have a lot to do with the terms and conditions of the lease. The next big one that influences the valuation of a laundromat is the age and condition of the equipment. This is an equipment-dependent business. There's a huge capital expenditure involved with washers and dryers and all the ancillary equipment for a laundromat. So the newer the equipment, right, the higher the value of the store. The older the equipment, the lower the value of the store. So one of the parts of your due diligence will be to sort of inspect that equipment, determine the true age of that equipment, how well it's been maintained. And like I said, a short lease with old equipment is worth the lower end of the scale. A store with newer equipment and a longer lease is going to be worth more as time goes along. So those are 2 really important components of that. So when you talk about valuation, there's a lot of the eye of the beholder. Most of these stores are sold on a multiple of the net earnings. What influences that net? It starts with the comparables. What are stores going for in the area? It's heavily influenced by the terms and conditions of the lease and has a lot to do with the age and condition of the equipment. So that's a little introduction to the valuation on laundromats. Thanks very much for joining us at Laundromat FAQs, and we'll see you next time.